My life ended the day the nurse confirmed it. I was pregnant. 17 years old. And Omega only 2 months away from graduation, and now this. My hands trembled as I shoved the medical report deep into my bag. No one could ever find out. Ever. For the first few weeks at school, everything seemed manageable. I wore oversized hoodies, kept my head down, and prayed nobody would notice. But my body had other plans. The morning sickness hit hard and fast, forcing me to sprint out of classes at random intervals. My usually baggy clothes started feeling tighter around my midsection, no matter how many layers I piled on. It was only a matter of time before the whispers started. Logan was the first to notice. He always had a cruel streak, the kind of alpha who got off on making others feel small. During lunch one Thursday, as I carried my tray toward the corner table where I usually hid, he called out loud enough for half the cafeteria to hear. "Hey everyone, look at River. Think he packed on some weight, or is he knocked up?" The table erupted in laughter. My face burned with humiliation as I walked faster, trying to escape the chorus of mocking voices. I felt my heart shatter into 1,000 pieces. I finally made it to my isolated corner table and sat down, staring blankly at the food I knew I wouldn't be able to eat. That's when Jax appeared. Jax Miller, the golden boy of our school, captain of the football team, honor roll student, and someone every Omega secretly admired from afar. His scent always hit me first. Warm amber mixed with pine. A combination that made my senses go haywire every single time he came near. Today was no different. "River, are you okay?" he asked, genuine concern pooling in his deep blue eyes as he slid into the seat across from me uninvited. "Yeah, just tired," I muttered, refusing to meet his gaze. I couldn't afford to let anyone get close, especially not someone like Jax. "If someone's giving you trouble, tell me. I'll take care of it." His sincerity almost broke me. Over the past week, everyone had started treating me like I was invisible, or worse, like I carried some contagious disease. But Jax was different. He had always been different, even before all of this started. But what I could never tell Jax, what I could never tell anyone, was whose baby I was carrying. The night it happened still felt like a waking nightmare. I had gone to a senior party for the first time, trying to feel normal for once in my anxious life. Someone spiked my drink. Everything after that became a blur of fragmented images and sensations. I remembered an overwhelming alpha scent that made my knees weak, strong arms lifting me, and a deep voice murmuring, "Mine," against my ear. When I woke up the next morning, I was alone in an unfamiliar room. No name, no face, no explanation. Just this baby growing inside me, slowly destroying everything I'd worked for. After school ended that day, I pushed through the main doors and headed toward the bus stop. That's when I saw it. A sleek black Rolls-Royce parked directly across from the school gates. The rear window was cracked open just slightly, and I could see a figure sitting inside, watching. My heart stopped. The scent drifting from that car made my blood run cold. Cedar and leather. It was the exact same scent from that night. The same scent that haunted my dreams and turned them into nightmares. I froze on the sidewalk, staring at the vehicle. Was he watching me? Did he know? Before I could decide whether to approach or run, the window rolled up completely, and the car pulled away smoothly into traffic. I stood there for several minutes, my mind racing with questions I had no answers for. Who was he? Why was he here now? And most importantly, what did he want from me? That night I barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that car, felt that presence, smelled that scent. Morning came too quickly, and I dragged myself out of bed feeling physically and emotionally drained. But I couldn't stay home. Missing school would only raise more suspicions, and I was already walking on thin ice. When I opened my locker that morning, I found something that made my heart stop. A thick manila envelope sat on top of my textbooks. There was no name on it, no return address, nothing to indicate who had left it there. With shaking hands, I opened it. Inside was a substantial amount of cash, and a receipt showing that my upcoming ultrasound appointment had been fully paid for. I stared at the papers in shock. How did someone know about my appointment? How did they even know I was pregnant? I frantically checked the locker for cameras or tracking devices but found nothing. Just this mysterious, terrifying gift. During lunch, Jax approached me again. "River, I need to ask you something. He sat down without waiting for permission, his expression serious. Do you need help? Financial support? My family has resources. Whatever you're going through, you don't have to face it alone. His offer was so kind, so genuine, that tears pricked at my eyes. But I shook my head firmly. I'm fine, Jax. Really? I appreciate it, but I can handle things on my own. The lie tasted bitter on my tongue. But what choice did I have? If I accepted help, questions would follow. Questions I couldn't answer. After lunch, things took a darker turn. I was heading to my locker to grab books for my next class, when Logan and 3 of his friends cornered me in the empty hallway near the gym. Look who it is, Logan sneered, stepping into my personal space. Our little pregnant Omega. Who's the daddy, River, or do you even know? His friends laughed cruelly. Before I could respond, one of them grabbed my backpack and threw it down the hallway. My notebooks and textbooks scattered across the floor like fallen leaves. Leave me alone, I managed to say, but my voice came out weak and pathetic. What's wrong? Can't handle a little teasing? Another one of them shoved my shoulder hard enough to make me stumble. Maybe if you weren't such a slut, you wouldn't be in this situation. The words cut deeper than any physical blow could have. I felt tears streaming down my face as I turned and ran toward the nearest bathroom. I locked myself in a stall and collapsed onto the floor, my chest so tight I could barely breathe. The tears wouldn't stop coming. When I finally emerged from the bathroom 20 minutes later, my eyes red and puffy, Jax was standing right outside the door. His expression shifted from confusion to deep concern the moment he saw my face. River, what happened? Talk to me. I can't stand seeing you like this. He reached out and placed a hand on my shoulder, the touch gentle but grounding. I wanted to tell him everything. I wanted to collapse into his arms and let someone else carry this impossible burden for just a moment. But I couldn't. Please, Jax. Just leave me alone. The words came out harsher than I intended. I saw the hurt flash across his face, but I forced myself to walk away before I could take it back. That evening, when I trudged up the steps to my small apartment, another package was waiting by my door. Inside were baby clothes, expensive, designer brands with soft fabrics that probably cost more than my monthly rent. No card, no note. But that scent clung to everything. Cedar and leather. My pulse began racing uncontrollably. Was this person stalking me? Or was this the father of my child, playing some twisted game? Why wouldn't he just confront me directly instead of leaving these anonymous gifts? Sleep didn't come that night. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, my mind replaying everything over and over. The Rolls-Royce, the scent, the packages, the money. Someone out there knew my secret, knew my every move, and I had no idea who or why. When my alarm went off at 6, I felt like I hadn't slept at all. My body ached with exhaustion, but staying home wasn't an option. I had to maintain some appearance of normalcy, even though my entire world was crumbling. The moment I arrived at school, I felt eyes on me. Groups of students whispered as I walked past, their conversations dying the second I got too close. I kept my head down and focused on getting to my locker without incident. But when I opened the metal door, I found another envelope waiting inside. This one was thicker than yesterday's. My hands shook as I tore it open. More cash spilled out, along with pamphlets about prenatal care, nutrition guides for pregnant Omegas, and a prepaid card for a local maternity store. Whoever was doing this had done extensive research. They knew exactly what I needed before I even knew myself. I shoved everything back into the envelope and buried it at the bottom of my locker. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. This was getting out of hand. Someone was invading my privacy on a level that terrified me. But part of me, a small, desperate part, was also grateful. I had no idea how I was going to afford any of this on my own. River, Jax's voice made me jump. I slammed my locker shut and turned to find him standing right behind me, concern etched into every line of his face. We need to talk. Seriously, something's going on with you, and I want to help. Please don't shut me out. His persistence was both touching and frustrating. There's nothing to talk about, Jax. I'm just dealing with some personal stuff. It'll pass. I tried to move past him, but he gently caught my wrist. Is it money? Family problems? Whatever it is, my parents have connections. They can help you access resources. counseling, anything you need. He was so earnest, so determined to fix whatever was broken. If only he knew how unfixable my situation actually was. I don't need charity, I said quietly, pulling my arm away. The hurt that flashed across his face made me want to take back the words immediately. But I held firm. Getting closer to Jax would only complicate an already impossible situation. He deserved better than getting tangled up in my mess. The rest of the morning dragged by in a haze of anxiety and exhaustion. By the time gym class rolled around, I was running on fumes. Coach had us doing sprints, and I barely made it through the first set before my legs turned to jelly. I stumbled to the bleachers and sat down, trying to catch my breath. That's when Logan decided to make his move. He and 4 of his friends surrounded me, blocking any escape route. Having trouble keeping up, River? Logan asked with mock concern. Maybe all that extra weight is slowing you down. Or should I say extra baggage? His friends snickered. One of them knocked my water bottle out of my hand, sending it rolling across the gym floor. Another kicked my gym bag, scattering my belongings everywhere. Stop it, I said, my voice barely audible. My vision was starting to blur at the edges. The stress, the lack of sleep, the constant fear, it was all catching up to me at once. What was that? Speak up. Logan leaned in close, his alpha pheromones intentionally aggressive. Come on. Tell us who got you pregnant. Was it some random hookup? Or are you just that desperate for attention? The words hit like physical blows. I felt something break inside me. Without another word, I grabbed what I could of my scattered belongings and ran. I didn't care that everyone was staring. I didn't care that I was probably proving their worst assumptions about me. I just needed to get away. I made it to the bathroom on the 2nd floor and locked myself in the furthest stall. The tears came hard and fast, racking my entire body with sobs. My chest felt like it was being crushed under an enormous weight. I couldn't do this anymore. I couldn't keep pretending everything was fine when my entire life was falling apart. The baby inside me deserved better than this. I deserved better than this. After what felt like hours but was probably only 15 minutes, I heard the bathroom door open. River? Are you in here? It was Jax. Of course it was Jax. He never gave up on people even when they desperately wanted him to. I stayed silent, hoping he would leave. I know you're in here. I saw you run in. Please come out, or at least talk to me through the door. I'm worried about you. Go away, Jax, I managed to choke out between sobs. Please. I just want to be alone. There was a long pause. Then I heard him slide down against the wall outside my stall. I'm not leaving until I know you're okay, even if that means sitting here through next period. His stubborn loyalty made my heart ache. How could someone be so genuinely good? And how could I possibly explain to him that his kindness only made everything harder? We sat in silence for several minutes. Eventually, my tears slowed and my breathing steadied. Jax, I need you to understand something. Whatever's happening with me, it's not something you can fix. And I need you to stop trying. For your own good. The words tasted like ash in my mouth, but they needed to be said. I can't do that, River. I care about you too much. His voice was soft but firm. Even if you won't let me help, I'm not going to stand by and watch you're alone. Before I could respond, my phone buzzed in my pocket. Unknown number. I pulled it out with shaking hands and opened the text message. What I read made my blood run cold. Stop talking to him. Tonight, 9 o'clock. Warehouse on Elm Street. Come alone, River. The phone nearly slipped from my fingers. Someone was watching me right now. They knew I was with Jax. They knew everything. My breathing became rapid and shallow. This was escalating beyond my control. River? What's wrong? Jax must have heard my sharp intake of breath. Did something happen? I couldn't answer. My throat had completely closed up. All I could think about was that match and what it meant. Who was this person? What did they want from me? And why were they so insistent that I stay away from Jax? I forced myself to stand up on shaky legs and unlock the stall door. Jax immediately got to his feet, his eyes scanning my face with deep concern. I have to go, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. I'm sorry, Jax, for everything. I pushed past him and fled the bathroom before he could ask any more questions. Behind me, I heard him call my name. But I didn't stop. I couldn't stop. The rest of the school day passed in a blur. I moved from class to class like a ghost, not hearing anything the teachers said, not registering anything around me. All I could think about was that message and the decision I had to make. Going to that warehouse alone was dangerous, possibly even deadly. But not going meant I would never get answers. I would never know who was pulling the strings of my life like I was some helpless puppet. At 8:45 that evening, I stood outside the abandoned warehouse on Elm Street, trying to convince myself this wasn't the worst decision of my life. The building loomed before me, dark and decrepit, with broken windows like missing teeth, and graffiti covering every visible surface. This was definitely the kind of place where people disappeared without a trace. A pregnant Omega coming here alone violated every safety rule I'd ever been taught. But my desperate need for answers outweighed my sense of self-preservation. I pushed open the rusted metal door, which groaned loudly on its hinges. Inside was even worse than outside. The warehouse was massive and mostly empty, with scattered debris and puddles of questionable liquid covering the concrete floor. Moonlight filtered through the broken windows above, creating eerie shadows that seemed to move and shift. "Hello?" My voice echoed off the walls, sounding small and pathetic in the vast space. No response. I took a tentative step forward, then another. My heart hammered against my ribs so hard I thought it might break through. That's when he emerged from the shadows near the back of the warehouse. The first thing I noticed was his size. He was tall, easily over 6 feet, with impossibly broad shoulders that seemed to fill the entire space. But it was his presence that truly struck me. Power radiated from him like heat from a furnace. His scent hit me next and my knees nearly buckled. Cedar and leather, exactly like the scent from that night. The scent I'd been smelling on all those anonymous packages. This was him. This was the father of my baby, River Haze. He spoke my name with absolute certainty, as if he'd been saying it his entire life. His voice was deep and commanding, the kind of voice that expected obedience without question. As he stepped up the shaft of moonlight, I finally got a clear look at his face. Sharp jawline that could cut glass, steel gray eyes that seemed to see straight through me. Perfectly styled dark hair and features that belonged on a magazine cover. This man was not ordinary. Everything about him screamed wealth, power, and danger. "Who are you?" I managed to stammer, taking an instinctive step backward. My survival instincts were screaming at me to run, but my legs refused to obey. "Dax Sutherland." He delivered his name like a revelation, as though I should immediately recognize it and fall to my knees in reverence. The name did sound vaguely familiar, like something I'd heard mentioned on the news or in passing conversations, but I couldn't place it exactly. "And that baby you're carrying belongs to me." The world tilted sideways. "Yours? I don't even know you. I've never seen you before in my life." My voice rose with panic and confusion. How could he possibly know about the baby? How could he be so certain it was his? That night at the party, he took a measured step toward me, and I immediately backed up until my spine hit the cold warehouse wall. "Someone drugged your drink. I was there for a business meeting in the same building. When I sensed your distress, the fear pouring off you in waves, I intervened. I got you out of there and took you somewhere safe." His jaw tightened, and something almost like guilt flickered across his otherwise impassive face. But then my rut triggered unexpectedly. "Your scent was intoxicating, and you were already going into heat because of whatever they'd given you." I lost control. I claimed you. Fragments of memory began surfacing like pieces of a broken mirror. Strong arms lifting me effortlessly. A deep voice telling me I was safe. Overwhelming heat and pleasure that bordered on pain. Gentle touches that gradually became desperate and consuming. The feeling of being completely and utterly possessed. I shook my head violently, trying to dislodge the images. "If you knew what happened, why have you been hiding? Why all the secret packages and paid bills? Why not just tell me who you were?" "Because," Dax said, his voice dropping to something darker and more ominous, "if the world discovers that River Haze is pregnant with Dax Sutherland's child, your life becomes forfeit. I'm not just wealthy, River. I'm one of the most powerful alphas on the entire East Coast. I have business rivals who would kill to destroy me, political enemies who would use any weakness against me, and competitors who would see you as the perfect leverage. You and that baby would become targets the moment our connection became public knowledge." His words should have terrified me. Instead, they ignited something else entirely. Rage. You should have thought about that before you claimed me. Before you got me pregnant. My voice cracked with emotion. You destroyed my life and now you're telling me it was all to protect me. That's convenient. I did think about it. His composure shattered for the first time, his voice rising to match mine. Suddenly he was right in front of me, his hands braced against the wall on either side of a head, caging me in. The morning after, I took you to a private hospital, had the drugs tested and flushed from your system, made sure you were physically unharmed. Then I hired a team to monitor you from a distance, paying your bills, ensuring your safety, watching for any threats. But circumstances have changed. His face was inches from mine now, close enough that I could feel his breath against my skin. My enemies are getting suspicious. They've noticed patterns in my behavior. If they make the connection between us, hiding won't be enough anymore. You need to be under my direct protection. I'm not going anywhere with you. I shoved at his chest, trying to create space, but he was immovable. I don't know you. You have no right to make demands or control my life. I never asked for any of this. Tears of frustration and fear burned behind my eyes. River. His voice dropped to something dangerously soft. He caught my wrist gently but firmly when I tried to push him again. If you stay on your own, those bullies at school are just the beginning. My enemies will find you. They will hurt you in ways you can't imagine, just to get to me. They'll use you and that innocent baby as weapons. Is that what you want? For just a moment, vulnerability cracked through his commanding exterior. Please, trust me. I looked up into those steel gray eyes and saw something I didn't expect. Genuine concern. Maybe even fear. But trusting him meant surrendering what little control I had left over my own life. I need time to think about this. This is all too much, too fast. Dax studied my face for a long moment before finally stepping back, giving me space to breathe again. You can think about it, but don't take too long. Make your decision by tomorrow. He reached into his coat pocket and pulled out an embossed business card, pressing it into my palm. My private number. When you're ready, call me. I clutched the card and ran. I didn't look back, didn't slow down until I burst through the warehouse door and into the cool night air. My heart was racing, my mind spinning with everything that had just happened. The walk home felt surreal, like I was floating through someone else's nightmare. When I finally reached my apartment building and climbed the stairs to my door, I stopped dead. Spray painted across my door in dripping red letters were the words, Omega Whore. You're dead. My breath caught in my throat. This wasn't a prank or empty threat anymore. Someone wanted to hurt me. I really hurt me. With shaking hands, I pulled out my phone and dialed the number on Dax's card. He answered before the first ring even finished. River, there's something written on my door. A threat. In red paint. My voice trembled uncontrollably. Don't move. I'll be there in 10 minutes. The line went dead. 9 minutes later, I heard the distinctive purr of an expensive engine. Dax's Rolls-Royce pulled up to the curb, and he emerged like an avenging angel. His eyes went to my door, and his entire body went rigid with fury. He immediately pulled out his phone. Nelson, I need a full security team at this address. Now, and I want surveillance footage from every camera within a 3-block radius. He ended the call and turned to me. Pack whatever you need. You're staying with me starting tonight. This time I didn't argue. I couldn't. Because whoever had written that message had just made one thing crystal clear: I was out of options. My only choice now was to trust the dangerous stranger who claimed to be my baby's father, or face whatever horrors my unknown enemies had planned for me. Neither option felt safe. But at least with Dax, I might survive long enough to see my baby born. And right now, that was all that mattered. Within 20 minutes of making the call, Nelson and his security team had transformed my apartment into something resembling a fortress. Cameras were installed at every angle, motion sensors placed strategically, and an alarm system that looked like it belonged in a bank vault. I watched them work with mechanical efficiency, but Dax stood beside me with his arms crossed, clearly unsatisfied. This is temporary, he said, when the team finished their sweep. If whoever threatened you is determined enough, they'll find another way. The only truly safe option is my penthouse. 60 floors up with round-the-clock security and controlled access. I wanted to argue. Every instinct screamed at me to maintain some shred of independence. But the red paint still dripping down my door told a different story. Someone wanted me scared, possibly dead. All right, I heard myself say. Just give me a few minutes to pack. I moved through my small apartment like a ghost, grabbing essentials, clothes, toiletries, the few possessions that actually mattered. As I zipped up my duffel bag, I took one last look around. This place had been my sanctuary, my escape from a world that never quite accepted me. Now it felt violated and dangerous. Dax waited by the door, his expression unreadable but his posture protective. The drive to his penthouse was silent, except for the smooth purr of the Rolls-Royce's engine. I stared out the window, watching my neighborhood disappear behind us as we headed toward the affluent district downtown. Everything was happening so fast, too fast for me to properly process. Just days ago, I'd been hiding my pregnancy and counting down to graduation. Now I was moving in with a billionaire alpha I barely knew, carrying his child and running from faceless enemies. When we arrived at his building, the difference between our worlds became painfully obvious. A doorman in a pristine uniform opened my door with a respectful nod. The lobby featured marble floors so polished I could see my reflection, crystal chandeliers that probably cost more than my yearly tuition, and an elevator with its own attendant. We rode up in uncomfortable silence, the numbers climbing higher and higher until we reached the 60th floor. The elevator opened directly into Dax's penthouse, and I froze. Floor-to-ceiling windows showcased the entire city skyline, glittering like a sea of stars. The space was enormous. My entire apartment could fit in just his living room. Everything screamed wealth and power. Designer furniture arranged with mathematical precision, an open kitchen with appliances I couldn't even name, and artwork that looked like it belonged in museums. Your room is this way. Dax picked up my bag effortlessly and led me down a hallway lined with abstract paintings. He opened a door to reveal what he casually called the guest bedroom. It was larger than my entire living space back home. A king-size bed dominated the center, dressed in linens that probably had a thread count higher than my bank balance. A walk-in closet stood empty and waiting, and through another door I glimpsed a bathroom with a soaking tub and rainfall shower. "This is excessive," I whispered, unable to hide my awe. "You and the baby deserve comfort and safety. That's all that matters to me." His voice had softened considerably from the commanding tone he'd used at the warehouse. "Get some rest. Tomorrow will be challenging." Sleep proved impossible despite the luxurious bed. My mind raced with questions and fears. How would I face school tomorrow after everything? What would I tell Jax? And most importantly, what did living with Dax actually mean for us? I tossed and turned until exhaustion finally claimed me near dawn. Morning arrived too quickly. I stumbled into the kitchen to find Dax already awake and impeccably dressed in a charcoal suit, his dark hair styled perfectly, looking like he'd stepped out of a business magazine. He was making breakfast with surprising competence. "Hungry?" he asked, sliding a plate of perfectly scrambled eggs and toast toward me. "You cook?" I couldn't hide my surprise. "I'm full of surprises." A hint of amusement touched his lips. "Eat. You need energy for today." "About school," I started, but he was already nodding. "I'll drive you. Nelson will maintain a discreet distance throughout the day. You won't even notice him, but he'll be there if you need anything." He poured me orange juice without asking. "This feels invasive, but your safety isn't negotiable. People will talk. They'll see your car, make assumptions. Let them talk." His tone left no room for argument. "Their opinions mean nothing compared to keeping you alive." The arrival at school was exactly the disaster I'd predicted. Every head turned as the Rolls-Royce pulled up to the main entrance. Students stopped mid-conversation to stare. Whispers erupted like wildfire. Dax got out first and opened my door, a gesture that probably seemed gallant to him, but felt like painting a target on my back. His hand briefly touched my lower back, steadying me, and I knew everyone saw it. "If anyone bothers you, tell Nelson immediately. Understood?" His gray eyes held mine with intensity. I nodded mutely and walked toward the building. The hallway might as well have been a gauntlet. Every eye tracked my movements. Logan leaned against a locker with his usual smirk. Well, River found himself a sugar daddy. Guess we know how you're paying for that baby now." I tried to ignore him, but Jax materialized in my path, his expression wounded and confused. River, who was that man? Why are you with him? His voice cracked slightly, betraying deeper emotions. Jax. It's complicated. I can explain. Complicated? Yesterday you pushed me away and today you show up with some billionaire? What am I supposed to think? His hurt was palpable, cutting through my defense. Before I could respond, the intercom crackled to life. River Haze, report to the principal's office immediately. Jax stepped aside and I walked past him, feeling his wounded stare burning into my back. The principal's office felt like a courtroom. She sat behind her desk with folded hands and an expression that promised nothing good. Mr. Haze, we need to discuss recent developments. She paused, choosing her words carefully. There are rumors circulating about your condition. Combined with this morning's spectacle, the school board has serious concerns. My stomach dropped. What kind of concerns? Some parents have complained. They're worried about the influence on other students. The board is considering placing you on home study temporarily until after graduation. That's discrimination. The words burst out before I could stop them. You can't punish me for being pregnant. The decision hasn't been finalized. Her tone suggested otherwise. But I'm recommending you stay home while we sort through this situation. Your diploma will be mailed to you. I left her office in a daze. Graduation was 1 week away. 1 week and they were taking it from me. I made it to the bathroom and splashed cold water on my face, fighting back tears. When I emerged, Jax was waiting again. River, please. Tell me what's happening. Let me help you. I took a shaky breath. Maybe partial truth was better than complete deception. Jax, I'm pregnant. His face went white. What? And that man who dropped me off? He's the father. Technically accurate even if it left out crucial details. Jax physically recoiled as if I'd struck him. You're pregnant? And you never told me? I thought we were friends. I thought... His voice broke completely. I loved you, River. I actually loved you. He turned and walked away before I could see him cry. But I heard the pain in his footsteps. The rest of the day blurred into a nightmare of stares, whispers and isolation. Even teachers treated me differently. Their sympathy mixed with judgment. When the final bell rang, I practically ran outside to find Nelson waiting by a discreet black sedan. Shall we head home, Mr. Haze? His professionalism was a small comfort. Back at the penthouse, Dax took one look at my face and closed his laptop. What happened? Everything spilled out. The principal's threat, Jax's heartbreak, the endless humiliation. Dax listened without interruption, then guided me to the couch. He disappeared into the kitchen and returned with hot chocolate, complete with marshmallows floating on top. How did you know I like it this way? I asked through tears. I've been watching over you longer than you realize. I know you skip coffee in the morning, prefer tea in the afternoon and reach for hot chocolate when stressed. His observation should have felt creepy, but instead it felt oddly comforting, like someone finally saw me. We sat in silence, and gradually my breathing steadied. Maybe this arrangement wouldn't be so terrible after all. But just as I started to relax, sharp pain lanced through my abdomen. I gasped and doubled over. River, what's wrong? Dax was instantly alert. Pain, and I think I'm bleeding. Terror seized my voice. He scooped me up without hesitation and carried me to the car. The drive to the emergency room felt eternal, his hand gripping mine the entire time. Everything will be fine, he repeated like a mantra, though I couldn't tell if he was reassuring me or himself. The doctor's examination felt invasive and terrifying, but finally, she smiled. The baby's fine. This is stress-induced spotting. Common but concerning. Complete bed rest for the next week. No exceptions. And Mr. Haze, you need to eliminate stress from your life as much as possible. Back home, Dax settled me into bed with absolute authority. You're staying here where I can watch you. No arguments, Dax. River. He cupped my face gently, his gray eyes intense. You and this baby mean everything to me. Let me take care of you. Please. His vulnerability broke through my last defenses. Okay. I whispered. That night he slept in the chair outside my door. And when I woke he was still there, a silent guardian keeping watch. The morning light filtered through the curtains, casting soft shadows across the room. I woke to find Dax still stationed in that chair, his tie loosened and hair slightly disheveled. The first time I'd seen him look anything less than perfectly composed. When he noticed I was awake, Something almost like relief crossed his features. How are you feeling? His voice was rough from lack of sleep. Better. Sore but better. I shifted carefully, mindful of the doctor's warnings. You didn't have to stay there all night. Yes, I did. No elaboration, just simple certainty. He stood and stretched, his shirt pulling tight across his shoulders. I'll make breakfast. Stay in bed. The next few days fell into an unexpected rhythm. Dax worked from home, his laptop set up at the dining table where he could see my bedroom door. Nelson checked in periodically with security updates that I mostly didn't understand. Dax brought me meals, books, and even downloaded movies onto a tablet for my entertainment. It felt surreal, this powerful alpha catering to my every need. On the third day, I was reading when my phone rang. Unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. River Haze. The woman's voice was smooth, cultured, and cold as winter ice. My name is Cassandra Blackwell. I believe we need to talk about Dax Sutherland. My heart stuttered. Who are you? His fiancée. She let the words hang like a blade. Or didn't he mention me? How typical. Let me guess. He's playing the protective alpha, making you feel special and safe. That's his pattern, dear. But you should know. He's already promised to someone else. Me. The call disconnected, leaving me staring at the phone in shock. When Dax walked in minutes later with lunch, I couldn't hide my expression. You're engaged? The question came out flat and accusatory. His face went carefully blank. River, are you engaged to someone named Cassandra? I pushed myself up despite the twinge in my abdomen. Yes or no? He sat down heavily, running a hand through his hair. Technically yes, but it's not what you think. Then explain it to me. Tears burned behind my eyes, fury mixing with betrayal. You brought me here, made me trust you, acted like you cared, all while having a fiancé waiting somewhere. What am I to you? A convenient secret? A responsibility you're stuck with? Stop. His voice turned sharp. Don't twist this into something it's not. Yes, there's an engagement, but it's purely business. Our families arranged it years ago to merge two companies. I've never loved Cassandra. I've never even kissed her. It's a contract. Nothing more. A contract you conveniently forgot to mention. I was shouting now, propriety abandoned. What was your plan, Dax? Keep me hidden here while you marry her? Raise our child in secret? No. He stood abruptly, frustration radiating from him. I was planning to break the engagement. I've had lawyers reviewing the contract for weeks, looking for loopholes. But these things take time, River. Cassandra's family is powerful. They could destroy everything I've built if I handle this wrong. So your business matters more than being honest with me? The question hung between us. You matter more. He closed the distance between us, his hands gentle on my shoulders despite the intensity in his eyes. You and our baby matter more than any business deal. I was trying to handle this bitey professionally. Before telling you, I didn't want you stressed during the pregnancy. But Cassandra found out about you somehow and now she's playing games. I wanted to stay angry, but his sincerity was difficult to ignore. This is too much. I can't think straight. Then don't think. Just trust me. He pressed his forehead to mine briefly. Give me a chance to prove where my priorities lie. The next morning, Dax called me into the living room. His laptop sat open on the coffee table, a video call application ready. I'm meeting Cassandra today. I'm ending this engagement, and I want you to witness it. Complete transparency. You don't have to. Yes, I do. You deserve to see this. His determination was absolute. An hour later, I watched through the screen as Dax sat across from Cassandra in an upscale restaurant. She was stunning, tall, elegant, with perfect bone structure and designer clothes. Everything about her screamed old money and sophistication. I felt small and inadequate by comparison. Dax, darling, I'm so glad you finally came to your senses. Her smile was all teeth and no warmth. Ready to discuss how we'll handle this embarrassing Omega situation. I'm here to end our engagement, Cassandra. Dax's voice was ice. Your family has violated our contract multiple times, unauthorized business decisions, leaked confidential information to competitors. My legal team has documented everything. You can agree to a quiet dissolution, or I can make this very public and very ugly for you. Her smile vanished. You're throwing away our family's alliance for some knocked-up high school Omega? Have you lost your mind? That Omega is carrying my child. He's under my protection, and if you refer to him disrespectfully again, I'll personally ensure your family's reputation is destroyed by the end of the week." The threat in his voice was unmistakable. Cassandra's expression twisted into something ugly. "Fine. Break the engagement. But mark my words, Dax. You've made a powerful enemy. That boy will suffer for this. I'll make certain of it. I welcome you to try." Dax stood, buttoning his jacket. "My lawyers will be in touch regarding the formal dissolution. Don't contact me again." He walked out, leaving Cassandra seething in her seat. The video feed ended. Minutes later, Dax returned to the penthouse, his expression unreadable until he saw me. Then his features softened. "It's done," he said quietly. "The engagement is over." I didn't realize I was crying until he knelt beside me, gently wiping away the tears. "Why?" I whispered. "Why would you risk everything for me?" "Because the moment I claimed you, you became mine. Not as property, but as someone I'm responsible for. He hesitated, vulnerability flickering across his face. "Someone I've developed feelings for that I never expected to have for anyone." "I don't understand you," I admitted. "You're this powerful, intimidating alpha, but then you do things like sleep in a chair to watch over me, or make me hot chocolate, or throw away a business alliance because I'm falling in love with you." The words came out raw and honest. I fought it. I told myself this was just duty and responsibility. But somewhere between protecting you from the shadows and holding your hand in that hospital, it became so much more. My breath caught. No one had ever looked at me the way Dax was looking at me, now like I was precious and irreplaceable. "I think I'm falling for you too," I confessed, "even though this is crazy and complicated and probably a terrible idea." He leaned in slowly, giving me time to pull away. I didn't. Our lips met in a kiss that was tentative at first, then deepening with unspoken promises. When we finally broke apart, we were both breathing hard. "Stay with me," he murmured against my temple. "Not because you have to, but because you want to." "I want to," I whispered back. That night, for the first time, I didn't sleep alone. Dax held me carefully, one hand protectively resting on the small curve of my belly where our baby grew. I felt safe in a way I never had before. But morning brought a harsh wake-up call. My phone exploded with notifications. I grabbed it with shaking hands and opened social media to find my face plastered everywhere. Headlines screamed variations of the same story. Billionaire Dax Sutherland abandons fiancée for pregnant high school Omega. Photos of me leaving school, walking to Dax's car. Even grainy shots through the penthouse windows. Cassandra had declared war, and she'd fired the first shot perfectly. The media storm hit like a tsunami. My phone became a weapon of harassment. Messages from reporters, classmates I'd never spoken to, even distant relatives I barely remembered. Anonymous accounts called me every vile name imaginable. Someone created a fake profile pretending to be me, posting fabricated confessions. The internet had decided I was a homewrecker and the mob mentality was brutal. Dax immediately assembled his crisis management team. But even they looked grim. "Cassandra's narrative is winning," his PR manager admitted during a video conference. "She's positioned herself as the wronged woman and River as the opportunistic Omega who seduced you for money. Public sentiment is overwhelmingly in her favor." I buried my face in my hands, unable to watch anymore. "This is my fault. I've ruined everything. Look at me." Dax tilted my chin up firmly. "This is Cassandra's vindictiveness, not your fault. We will fix this together." But the hits kept coming. That afternoon, my phone rang with an official call from the school. The principal's voice was apologetic but firm. "Mr. Haze, the board has made its decision. Given the media attention and parent complaints, you're being placed on immediate withdrawal. Your diploma will arrive by mail. We simply cannot have you on campus anymore. Expelled. No graduation ceremony. No walking across the stage. No final goodbyes to teachers who'd supported me. My dreams shattered with one phone call." When I hung up, Dax found me sitting motionless on the couch. "They expelled me," I said numbly. "Just like that, I'm gone." His jaw tightened dangerously. "Then we'll create our own ceremony. Private, intimate, with the people who actually matter. You will graduate with dignity, River. I promise you that." Over the following week, Dax's lawyers worked tirelessly to counter Cassandra's smear campaign. They released carefully documented evidence of her family's contract violations, proof of their illegal business practices, and even recordings of her making threats. The public narrative began shifting slowly as people realized Cassandra wasn't the victim she'd painted herself to be. Dax himself gave one explosive interview that went viral. River Haze is not a homewrecker. He's a courageous young Omega who survived being drugged and taken advantage of, then faced bullying and judgment while carrying my child. My engagement to Cassandra was a business arrangement that was already dissolving due to her family's misconduct. River represents my choice to build something real instead of something transactional. If that makes me controversial, so be it. The tide turned. Support began flooding in from Omega rights groups, from people who'd faced similar situations, even from unexpected celebrities. Logan and his bully friends found themselves on the receiving end of public backlash, their own social media accounts flooded with criticism. True to his word, Dax arranged a private graduation ceremony. He rented a small venue and invited my supportive teachers, Nelson's security team, and even flew in my mother from across the country. She'd learned about the pregnancy only recently, but her hug when she arrived spoke volumes. Love without judgment. Walking across that small stage in my cap and gown, accepting my diploma from the principal who'd personally come to support me, I finally felt closure. Dax stood in the front row, recording everything with pride shining in his eyes. When the ceremony ended, Mom pulled me aside. "He's a good man," she said, studying Dax. "Protective without being controlling. That's rare." She squeezed my hand. "You found something special, sweetheart." The legal battle with Cassandra concluded a month later. Faced with overwhelming evidence and public opinion turning against her, she agreed to an out-of-court settlement. She issued a public apology, clearly written by lawyers but still impactful, and her family paid substantial compensation for defamation and harassment. Most importantly, she disappeared from our lives, moving to another city to rebuild her tarnished reputation. As my pregnancy progressed into the 7th month, Dax surprised me with a house viewing. Not a penthouse or apartment, but an actual house in a quiet neighborhood outside the city. It had a yard, space for a nursery, and neighbors who waved hello without recognizing us. "The penthouse is for business," he explained as we walked through empty rooms. "This is for family. Our family." The word family made my heart swell. We spent weeks decorating, turning blank spaces into a home. The nursery became my obsession. Soft colors, carefully chosen furniture, and a rocking chair positioned near the window where I could imagine soothing our baby to sleep. At 8 months, on the terrace of our new house during a spectacular sunset, Dax proposed. Not with a grandiose gesture or expensive ring, but with quiet sincerity. "River Haze, you've given me purpose beyond business and wealth. Will you be my bonded partner, my husband?" Through happy tears, I said yes. He slipped a simple silver band onto my finger, and we held each other as the sun painted the sky in gold and crimson. When labor started 3 weeks later, Dax transformed into someone I'd never seen, terrified, but determined. He held my hand through every contraction, whispered encouragement when I wanted to give up, and cried openly when our son finally arrived, healthy and perfect. "Kieran," I whispered, looking at the tiny face. "His name is Kieran." Dax cradled his son with reverent care, tears streaming down his face. "He's perfect. You're both perfect." The months that followed brought unexpected peace. I started online college courses in business management, determined to be more than just Dax's partner. I wanted to be his equal. He supported every ambition, taking night shifts with Kieran so I could study. Jax eventually reached out, requesting to meet. Over coffee, with Dax protectively present, we found closure. "You deserve this happiness," Jax said sincerely. "Seeing you with your family, seeing you finally content, that's what matters." Even Logan faced consequences. After videos of his bullying surfaced online, colleges rescinded his acceptances. Life had delivered its own justice without me lifting a finger. The year after Kieran's birth, Dax and I had our official bonding ceremony, intimate, elegant, surrounded only by people who genuinely cared. As we exchanged vows, I thought about the terrified Omega who'd hidden his pregnancy and faced endless cruelty. That person seemed like a lifetime ago. Now watching Dax play with Kieran while dinner cooked on the stove, I understood something profound. Sometimes the darkest moments lead to the brightest futures. Every tear, every struggle, every moment of fear had been necessary to bring me here. To this family, this love, this life I'd never dared dream possible. What are you thinking about? Dax asked, catching me staring. How grateful I am. I answered honestly. For everything. Even the hard parts. He crossed the room and kissed me softly. We saved each other, River. That's what partners do. And as our son giggled from his playpen, I knew with absolute certainty. This wasn't just a happy ending. It was a beautiful beginning.